Hey guys, fall is officially here and I could not be more excited. You guys know I am a cold weather gal. I love everything about fall and winter, and makeup is no exception. I mean, I love makeup all year round. You know, when I think of spring, summer, I think of like glossy, bronzy skin, and that's gold eyeshadow, glossy lips. I love that. But come fall, I love the change, and I always do kind of like a change up with my makeup style. I think it's probably pretty subtle, but you know, I use a little bit less shininess and bronze and all of that, and I focus a little bit more on like earthy colors. Anyway, I love when seasons change and using that as an excuse to kind of like rethink my favorites and things like that. So what we're going to be talking about today are 5 of my favorite eyeshadow palettes for this fall season. I feel like these are the 5 I'm really going to be gravitating towards. Some of these may be a surprise, some of them may not be a surprise. I've got 3 quads in here. You guys know I love smaller eyeshadow palettes, quads, duos, even singles, big fan. But I didn't want to do anything less than a quad because we're talking about palettes. So I've got 3 quads and then I have 2 larger palettes, one of which I'm sure you could guess right off the top of your head. But I do want to start with one quad that I just used recently in an Easy Glam full face of Clé de Peau. And Clé de Peau very recently redid all of their eyeshadow quads. I am in love with these new eyeshadow quads. I'm in love with the formula. I really didn't think they could improve upon their previous formula, which, as you guys know, I love. Super soft powder, easy to blend. But there's something very, very special about these particular quads. But the one that I picked out is the one that I did use in that Easy Glam tutorial. It's number 4, Ocean Sunrise. It's this guy. And I just pulled it out of the refill case. They just kind of pop in and pop out here. I'll just pop it back in to show you. So you just tuck it in and then clips right in. It's great. This quad you can see is just perfect for every day. It is perfect for evening, maybe cocktail look, because you can smoke it up with this. I really just like the range of browns in here, and I like how the browns are a little bit varied in tone. So this brown you can see has a little bit of a golden sheen to it. This brown has a little bit of red, also a little bit of shimmery bits in here. And then this one is just kind of straight up chocolate brown, very, very neutral. So I like the range of browns in here, and I like how the tones in them vary. This shade, along with every bottom left-hand shade in every Clé de Peau quad, is a primer shade. So this shade is really unique formula. It's this dough that's been kneaded and pressed in. It has this very smooth appearance. It also does have like a very beautiful satin sheen to it. I think you could use this all by itself if you wanted like a frosty lid. It's gorgeous. But if you lay this down before using the 3 other shades in any of these Clé de Peau quads, beautiful. It just helps these already gorgeously formulated shades glide even more easily, blend out even more easily. It's just a stunning situation, like what is going on with these quads. I particularly like this Ocean Sunrise for fall because the other ones that I really like from Clé de Peau, I mean, you can wear whatever you want anytime, but they're a little bit more, when I look at them, a little bit more spring, a little bit more summery. A lot of them have peaches and mauves and like light orchids in there. Really, really gorgeous. This one to me is the most fall winter. So this is my first pick for fall eyeshadow palettes. The second pick I have is actually what I have on my eyes. And this is the Surratt Beyond Beige quad. Sorry, that's unhelpful. Let me show you the packaging. But here is the palette. It's so beautiful. But what I will say, I don't know if you can see it. Maybe we'll zoom in here. What I will say is the palette at first glance looks very, very neutral, but it definitely, at least on my lids, I think it leans a little bit warm, especially these 2 colors. This almost in the pan looks like almost cool tone, but when I put it down, it warms up quite a bit. And then this, if you actually look at it in a different light, can you see that? It's a very kind of coppery shade. And then these 2 shades are a little bit more neutral, but these 2 shades I probably use the most because they're in the middle tone-wise, and they do run a little bit warm. So I do reach for this palette when I want something a little bit warmer. If I am looking to wear like a peach lipstick or something, I think it's just like the most beautiful match. That's what I did today. Yeah, I just find this color story very, very beautiful. Now, in terms of the formula, the Surratt artistic products, the eyeshadows, the blushes, have such a unique, gorgeous formula. They literally melt onto your skin because these powders start as a liquid. It's a very unique process, I believe a proprietary process to Surratt, where they use like this slurry method. So it's like this liquid and then, you know, gets baked down or whatever. So it just performs a little bit differently. If you end up using any of these artistic products, you're gonna notice that they look and kind of pick up like a powder product, but as soon as you start working it onto your skin, the heat just starts to really melt it. And not that they become like a liquid in any way, but they start to behave that way. When you blend them out, they just sort of melt. That's the best way I can describe it. I'm sorry, but they're really, really incredible to work with and just such a unique formula. And like I said, they look pretty ordinary. They look like just like a pressed powder shadow. They're not. They are to be experienced firsthand. So that's the Surratt Beyond Beige palette. They have a few of these palettes that are kind of like pre-made, but you can buy all of the shadows individually, and you can buy one of these palettes and like put the shades in yourself. It's a lot of fun. So that is the Surratt Beyond Beige quad, which I love and will be using quite a bit this coming fall. Next up is another quad, and this is an oldie. It's weird because I still feel like these are kind of new, but I guess these are like an oldie but goodie. This is the Tom Ford Smoky Quartz in the creme formula. So these are definitely like almost like a dry cream feeling, and then they apply like a cream, and then I feel like they set down kind of like a powder product. Look at this color story. Is that not sultry? It's so sultry. There's a deepness to it, a darkness to it, but I'm not intimidated when I look at this color story. I'm not, intimidated like, oh God, am I just gonna end up looking like a raccoon? Because I feel like there's enough kind of peachy and pink to these two shades where they look a little bit more nude, they look a little bit more, I don't know, fleshy, but I really do just love this color story. I could stare at this quad for hours. This is really great all over the lid. Of course, this is, what I use to kind of deepen up things, but really it's the creme formula from Tom Ford that I really love. When they introduced these, how long ago has it been now? Has it been like 2 years, I think, that they've introduced them? Maybe a year and a half, maybe it will be 2 years. Anyway, if this you find to be maybe just a little bit too deep for you, the Rose Topaz is gorgeous. It has more of like a metallic kind of shimmer in that particular quad, and it's a little bit lighter overall. This one I just love to save up for fall winter because it does have that warm, deep feel to it. I just love it. Actually, it looks like the Tom Ford, is it Tiger's Eye quad? It came out around the same time. That one's like a brighter version of this. This one is just very desaturated, and I love that. I love it. So that is the Tom Ford Smoky Quartz Eye Color Quad Creme. Let's talk about the two larger palettes that I have. Now this one is no surprise. Natasha Denona, I Need a Nude palette. I mean, what can I say? This is just such a great neutral toned palette with all the finishes you could ever want, from matte to chroma crystals to metallics. There's a new formula in here of a metallic. I cannot remember the name of it, and it's not on the palette, it's on the box, which of course I don't have anymore. But there's 3 new formulas in here. 1 new formula, 3 shades of that new formula in here. And they're just a lot of fun. I think Natasha Denona is just really fearless when it comes to just coming up with like new formulas and trying new things out. And as we know, I mean, we've been here a long time. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but when they work out, they're magical. Yeah, I just really love all of these very neutral to cooler toned shadows. And then of course we've got some warmth in there with these peaches. But overall, I just think this is such an everyday, versatile kind of palette. And I love the range of finishes in here. It's a lot of fun. Every time I open up this palette, I feel like, oh, let me try and do something else. Let me do like a different look. So I love it. It's inspirational and it's really beautiful. So that's the I Need a Nude palette. A palette I've been reaching for quite a bit that's not gonna die down this fall. And then last but not least, for a large palette, I have the Esom Artistry Palette #1 Balance. This is something that belongs in everyone's makeup collection, whether you're a makeup artist or whether you're someone that just enjoys playing with makeup. This is perfect. There's 15 shades in here. They're all matte, and you can see that they're worked in columns. So they go from light to dark. I live a lot over here on the left-hand side. I don't use the purples that much, but I'm relieved to know that they're there. It's comforting to know that they're there if I need them. And of course, we've got like this gray color story there. This is perfect on its own. Like if you're just a simple matte shadow gal, you're not into shine, you just wanna like throw some eyeshadow on, make yourself look presentable for work or whatever, perfect, absolute perfection. You're probably gonna be living right in here with me. Or if you have a lot of really glittery eyeshadows, that's just something you gravitate towards and you always feel like you just never have like a matte shade to kind of start with, this is the perfect palette. This is just the perfect palette to accompany other palettes, to work all alone, a great pairing to the other Esom Artistry palettes. It's just stunning. It's stunning. The formula is also surprisingly smooth smooth and silky. When you put your finger in these pans, it just glides. It's actually very, very surprising because they're matte shadows. And sometimes I feel like matte shadows, you'll feel the powder to them. You don't feel it with these. They're so, so silky, so fine. They blend out beautifully. I've done like a glam tutorial on this. I did a look with this eyeshadow palette along with their Intensity eyeshadow palette, which has like satins and metallics, and they're another incredibly gorgeous palette. But this, in terms of like what I'm gonna be grabbing for what is gonna be a staple in terms of usage for me in the fall winter seasons, this is it. This is it. Anytime I'm looking for like a matte shade, I just gravitate towards this palette. So I love it. I really, really love it. And I love the packaging. You know, Isam is a line for pro makeup artists. So they've thought of everything. You know, this just slides off, and then all of these pans are individually refillable. So the back of this slides off just like the front. So you just pull this out, and then there on the back, you'll see that all these pans, you can just pop them out. Isn't that cool? So yeah, I just love everything about these Isam palettes. So well thought out down to the packaging. Okay guys, those are the 5 eyeshadow palettes that I think I'm gonna be just swapping in and out between those 5 for the next season. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please let me know what your fall go-to eyeshadow palette is. I would love to hear from you. Maybe it's something I need to add to my collection. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.